Welcome to POSTCAST. The Utah Jazz get the win over the Detroit Pistons tonight. The bench sparks the victory for the Jazz as they find a way to get it done behind small ball. Actually worked tonight. We'll talk about it coming up on POSTCAST. Using a new camera tonight, and it's super good, and it's too good because I don't look as good as you. I can't have a camera this tight on me, Ron.
Clarity looks pretty good in there.
The clarity on this camera is great. It's just I actually don't look good enough to have this camera. We'll get you back in the picture here.
Oh.
Step back and come into the pit. No, this way. There we go.
We're
having a tough night, everybody.
All right.
Hope you're good. All right. Jazz win tonight. They end their losing ways of 6 of the last 7 with a 111-1 win over the Detroit Pistons. And it was really sparked by non-Mike Conley, non-Rudy Gobert lineups. We don't see this very often. Eric Paschall played tonight. Did a very good job. Rudy Gay played some with that lineup as well. The Jazz played a switching 5 defense that got into the Pistons, and they did not have guys that could beat them one-on-one, and the Jazz took advantage. It was a very different thing for Utah in that group.
Well, what I enjoyed, I thought, you talk about Eric Paschall, when he first came in the ball game, he was the one that was pushing the ball. I mean, he really played hard. Didn't spend a lot of time on the floor, only got 15 minutes. But I thought, and I guess the reason I was paying so much attention to that was because that was our discussion, I think, before the show started.
By the way, Lacey is in my circle of trust.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to point that out. This was from our post-game show tonight. It says right here, I'm with you, David. Circle of trust. Points gained doesn't lie. Like, I have people in my circle. We're battling tonight. So how do we feel about this game? No Donovan, and you get the win. We played the Pistons earlier. We lost. They weren't able to do all the same things against us they did last time. Like, did we make progress? Do you feel like, or do you just you're just glad you got to win and you got out of here tonight?
You're glad you got to win, but you did make progress. Progress means that you, and we make this analogy with golf sometimes, even though the Detroit Pistons is not a very good team, they've only won 11 ball games, that in order to get healthy sometimes, in order to get your confidence back up, you have to do or play teams that are less talented and do a lot of things well.
Glendale's open, Ron.
Yeah,
my daughter played there this week.
I'm sure they are. Yeah.
She's not. She shot 1 over through 9. She's feeling very good about herself.
But there is something to that,
right? From the white tees, like she's feeling good about that. Like there's a value to the Detroit. We needed the Detroit Pistons today, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think of Cade Cunningham?
I like him. I didn't like the way he played necessarily. I thought he forced some threes or something like that. It wasn't that much under control there late in the second half. But boy, he's got game, I think. And how can he be a superstar in this league or maybe an all-star? I think that, as you talk about so often, that second year or maybe even the third year in the league, you probably get a pretty good read on him.
So back to the Jazz, because I just thought Cunningham was part of the story since he had 17 in the first half. Quinn Snyder's made comments in the last few nights about the team needing energy and how valuable Eric Paschall, Daniel House, I think Trent Forrest has been. Trent Forrest joined his postgame and kind of said that they got on him early because he wasn't doing anything out there. Mm-hmm. Don't be passive, have an impact. The Jazz don't have what I would call play hard guys. Rudy plays pretty darn hard, but they're so good, right?
Yeah.
All of our guys are so skilled and so good that they don't have to play hard to survive. You know what? Eric Paschall, Trent Forrest, Daniel House have to play super hard to actually survive, or they go home. They're done if they don't play hard. So how valuable is it to have those guys getting some minutes and getting some time on the roster?
Well, those guys you're going to need going down the stretch. In the second half of the season, you're going to need guys like that, the guys that play hard, the guys that can go out there and give you 6, 7, 8, maybe 10 minutes of ball game, be productive. But playing hard and giving, I think, for the most part, giving this whole team, a chance to be good out there on the floor, the Jazz need to play a certain way because they don't have as many play hard type players as Paschall or Trent Forrest, if you understand what I mean.
Switching defense is what Detroit ran a lot at the Jazz. Without Donovan, that's awfully hard for the Jazz to deal with because Donovan's kind of the guy who breaks it. So Mike had to do a little bit of that, but Jordan was particularly valuable tonight in that regard.
Yeah. Jordan has more success, I think, because a lot of the load is put on his shoulders when Donovan doesn't play. And then you're playing a team like Detroit, who didn't have an answer for him, really makes him look really, really good.
Jazz win it over the Pistons tonight. We'll head to the Warriors next. Let's see if there's any questions from anyone here. Del Toledo, who always brings the fire. Jazz last year won games because of shot quality, but this year seems like other teams are winning the shot quality battle. It's an interesting observation. I'll actually have to go look at some data on that to see if that's true. But we're not – teams have gotten pretty consistent on how they're playing us now, which is they're switching as much as they possibly can. And when teams switch and hug our shooters, we don't get as many threes. When someone plays drop big and has to bring a third guy into the role, we kill them. So no one's playing that anymore. I mean, Del, I think it's a great point.
It's a great point. But the fact that teams don't play the Jazz, I mean, coaches, and we talk about this quite a bit, coaches aren't dumb in this league. I mean, they find ways to they know what you're good at. They try to take things like that away. And so obviously that's been a point of emphasis for a lot of teams in the NBA.
I think there's something I think teams have really scouted the Jazz. I think we're about as well scouted as any team in the league. We've basically been the same team for a while. And so we just don't have teams letting us play the way we want.
Exactly.
And for the long run, it's probably good because it means that we have to learn these things before the playoffs. I think this is the most interesting one. I've been trying to chart this. I've been trying to look at it. I don't have any data that can prove this. I am utterly convinced that players are not coming back from COVID well. I'm convinced that there's a stretch here where players do this coming out of COVID. They'll have a good game and then two bad games and they come back. And then I think there's you're out of health and safety protocols, but I'm convinced guys aren't right.
Well, that's something that I'm sure you'll look up and see what players.
I've tried. I can't prove it. I've tried really hard, actually. It's pretty, like how long, like it's not to bore everyone, but like how long am I saying? Is it a 4 game? Is it a 5 game? Where am I cutting it off? It's too hard to find a good enough sample size of what's right. What are you saying? Like they're just shooting less well? Like it's hard. I can't really master it right now, but I've tried, and I'm convinced of it to be true as I look at the box scores on a night in and night out basis. All right, Jazz win it tonight over Detroit. Thanks for joining us on POSTCAST. I'm David Locke. He's Ron Boone. We'll be back with you Sunday for the Jazz and the Warriors.